Hello, everybody. Welcome to our live show. My name is Kristen Burke. I am the Talent Acquisition Manager for AMN Language Services, and I am going to be your host. So I'm joining from Tampa, Florida. I would love to know, where are you all joining from? I see we already have a bunch of people chiming in. We have someone from Montana. We have someone from Kyrgyzstan. So definitely drop in your location. We love to see our folks from all across the globe joining in to hear about our fun topic for today, which is how to be an over-the-phone interpreter. So this is a great topic for the new year, new job. Let's do it. Let's find out how to be an OPI interpreter with AMN. We have a couple more folks chiming in from Idaho, we've got North Carolina, Haiti, Arizona. This is so cool. Thank you all for joining. So with me today, we have our fabulous guests. If we want to go ahead and bring them out, we have Christopher, we have Richard, we have Kadar, and of course we have Sean doing our sign language interpretation. So thank you so much for being here. Coming up today, we're going to talk about, how to manage time, tips in practice, and then some stories from the field. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Let's start with some introductions. So Richard, tell us a little bit about, your background and kind of how you got into interpreting over the phone.
Yes. Hi, all. This is Richard Rama. I'm originally from Burma, and I left Burma 33 years ago and came to United States as a Korean refugee. In my first years in US, I was a car salesman for a used car dealership. After that, I worked for Chevy and Volvo, and also worked for a resettlement agency. And I started working as over-the-phone interpreter since 2006.
Great. Thank you so much. It's nice to have you here with us, Richard.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then Kadar, if you could introduce yourself and kind of tell us, what drew you to working in the medical field in particular?
Okay. Good morning, everybody. I am Kedar, the Nepali interpreter. I originally from Bhutan, and we were evicted from that country. Then we came to a refugee camp in Nepal. So in Nepal, we stayed for about 21 years. And since then, I came to US. And even in the refugee camp, I was a teacher, and I used to interpret for the people those who from the foreign country, usually from the USA or other people, they used to visit the camp. At that time, I used to be an interpreter, but I have not known anything about the interpretation, but I was just interpreter at the time. And after I came to US in 2009, and I resettled through the agency IRC, and when we started talking to them, and they told me that, oh, there's no interpreter for us, so maybe you can be a good interpreter for us. Would you be able to help us? So then yes, I said yes. And then since then I started, and they gave me 40 hours training, and I started as an interpreter with them. But that was in Arizona, and from there I moved to Utah, and from Utah now I'm in Ohio. And since I came to Ohio, I started working with Mount Carmel as an interpreter. And in the meantime, I got a chance with AMN too, but I already was working with Mount Carmel, so I choose to work with them. But later on, they ended their interpretation service from there, and I came back to AMN. At the time, it was Stratus, and in Stratus, I work as a part-time on-call basis, and later on, I am hired, and now I am a video interpreter for uh, AMN. That's how my journey is.
Wonderful. Thank you so much,
Yeah,
Kadar.
one second. Even I missed one thing, that I also studied medical assistant when I was in Arizona. But and that helped me with the interpretation, because a lot of terminology I learned from that. So I didn't get that job though, but at least that helped me with the terminology now to understand the doctors or the nurses.
Yeah, good. Yeah, you've done it all, it sounds like. That's great. All right. And then Chris, tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of what's your favorite thing about working as a recruiter in the language services industry?
Yes, hey everyone. I would say my favorite thing about working as a recruiter in the language services is just the different types of backgrounds and cultures that I come across when talking to different interpreters. Loving to have conversations with interpreters about how they started to be an interpreter and things of that nature, and then also just helping them with the opportunity of working with AMN. I would say that that's my favorite thing about working in this department.
Excellent. Thank you. We're so happy to have you all here. We have a couple questions coming through, and I do want to encourage you all in the audience, please drop your questions in. This is kind of your best opportunity to get real live answers to your questions, and we love to see the questions. So let's take a couple questions. We have Laura saying she wants to learn how to contract with AMN OPI. Well, you've come to the right place. You stick around, and in the next 45 minutes or so, you will have that answer. And you can certainly apply. We have all of our jobs listed, all of the languages for OPI listed on our website. Definitely throw an application in, and one of our recruiters would be happy to get in touch with you. There's the link on the screen there. And then the next question is, do you work with interpreters who are not in the US? I'm in Kyrgyzstan and would love to work as an OPI. Now, unfortunately, we cannot hire OPIs from anywhere outside the US at this time. That is something that we're looking to do in the future, but at this time we can't. So definitely don't leave though, because as I say, we're working toward that. So maybe in the next few months. All right, so let's talk about the language focus. So, Richard, you interpret more than one language for AMN Healthcare. How did you become multilingual?
Well, basically, I'm a Karen ethnic from Burma. So at home, we speak Karen at home, and Burmese is an official language in Burma. So I grew up speaking both Karen and Burmese.
Great. And how did you become so fluent in English?
Basically, my parents are educated, so uh, they are college professor, both of them. So we learn basically we learn English since we were very young, also. And of course, as we grow up, so we study, and and when we came to America, so we we kind of like adjusted. In Burma, we use mostly the British English. In American, we have to understand the different accents and like a pronunciation. So adjusted into it. That's all.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
So Kadar, same question for you. Tell us a little bit about your language background and kind of how you became proficient in more than one language.
Yeah. Good morning, everybody. I am originally from Bhutan, and in Bhutan, there's a in mostly in Asia there was a British English in prevalence. Like in our school in Bhutan was English medium school, so from nursery itself we used to learn English, and I got a chance to study till grade 6 there, and after that we are evicted from the country. Then we lived in refugee camp in Nepal. In Nepal too, we had English medium school through UNHCR, and I learned there as English there too. And after that, I joined the college. Even in college also, I picked up like English as a subject to study. I have done a major in English and political science. So that's how one of the thing I got. And next thing is interaction with the people. The other thing is that after we are done like basic like grade 10, after that we went outside the camp, refugee camp, and started working as a teacher in various parts of Nepal. So from there also we learn like as a teacher I have to speak English in private school. There were English medium schools in Nepal, and I should teach English and social sciences. So there's the chance that I got chance to speak. How I improve my speaking is the main thing is the teaching. From teaching, I learned to do that. So all those things, and I taught for many years when I was in Nepal, and after that I came to US. And after I came to US, I got a chance to work as an interpreter. So I started my journey through interpretation. I think that's answered the questions.
Good. Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, Chris, next one's for you. Tell us about a language that was really hard to recruit for. I know they're out there.
Yeah, so I mean, I think we recruit for over 200 languages. So there's a lot that are hard to recruit for. One that I've been trying to recruit for ever since I started in this department is Berber. I think right now we currently have like a need for five, but for some reason I've never hired a Berber before. So if you do speak Berber or interpret for Berber, we'd love to have you on the team. Please apply, amnhealthcare.com, and we would definitely reach out as soon as possible.
That's great. Thank you, Chris. And we did have a couple more questions coming through. A few folks saying that they applied a few months ago, but they haven't heard back, or maybe there were no openings. It looks like Jim, a Mandarin interpreter, and then Vera, the Russian interpreter, and I believe there was a Spanish interpreter as well. So our needs here change all the time. Okay, month to month, sometimes even week to week, things can change. Sometimes we'll be hiring maybe for Spanish as an in-person contractor, but we don't have any video needs. So please, be patient, but you did the right thing by applying. If you want to apply again, we encourage that. And hopefully, the timing will work out to where something comes up, because things are changing all the time here. Okay. Next, we're going to go right into the meat of the matter, talking about OPI interpreting. So Richard, this one's for you. How did you prepare yourself to become a medical interpreter? Like, was there any training or assessment you had to do?
Well, yes, I had to study medical terminology, terms, and ethic, like a protocol, such as an intervention protocol, etc., and had to take language assessment tests for both English and target language. And I also completed 40 hours of medical interpreting courses. So I also want to say that I'm still learning every day. This is what I really want to emphasize,
That's great. Yeah, and it's so important to stress that, as an independent contractor, you are the one that's responsible for, your work. We're not giving you training here. You have to come to us with the qualifications, right? So that's wonderful that you came with your own assessment, you came with your own training, so you could show us, hey, I'm qualified. Here's what I do as an independent contractor. I have this, I have that. So yeah, that's great. And Kedar, kind of walk us through how you became an OPI contractor. Like, walk us through your journey.
From AMN status. Yeah, I mentioned that previously also. I work with like a resettlement agency as an interpreter, and since I got the training from 40 hours training from them, and after that I moved to another state called Utah from beginning Arizona. Then I moved to Utah, and Utah also they have provided the IRC same company, same settlement agency. They provided me another 40 hours of training. So to begin with, I learned the basic things from there, and after that I had already studied medical assistance, from where I had some medical terminology, mostly. So I used that and I started working, and then in the AM, and also I work in the beginning I work as an OPI, like that's also in temporary basis or as needed basis, and later on there is a position open and they hired me as a full-time interpreter. Since then I'm working with a, I was working with the Stratus, and now I'm working with AMN now. That's how my journey started and reached here.
Good. So you came with the training as well, the 40-hour training.
Yeah, I got the 40-hour training, 40 around 80 hours of training in
Oh,
total.
wow. Yeah, that's great. And for anyone who's interested in getting a training, I know we did a live show on our Career Connections partners. So if you look on our website and on our LinkedIn page, you can find some of these past live shows that we've done. We have a great one with resources on, where to go to get a 40-hour training. So Chris, can you provide us with kind of a high-level overview of the role of the OPI interpreter with AMN?
Sure. So it's a freelance contractor position that offers a lot of flexibility. Our interpreters are able to log into an app that we've made. There they can make themselves available, and calls will go straight to their laptop or their mobile device. Um, so that's and they also do pre-scheduled calls as well.
Yep. Yeah, so it's great because this is the flexible option, right? You can, kind of log in when you choose. We certainly have VRI jobs as well, which are employee based, and that's more of a set schedule, dedicated hours. But over the phone is always great because you can kind of log in when you're available, and the recruiters typically can guide candidates through the process of like when you can expect the highest volumes to be. So, okay. And I'm just going to look here at the comments. I see we have a couple things coming through. Somebody's asking if we're onboarding Haitian Creole OPI interpreters. Anuti, I believe that's how you say your name. I hope I didn't butcher it. Right now, we don't have any OPI for Haitian Creole, but we may in the future. So again, just kind of stay close. And Mo is asking, contractors give you guaranteed hours or come with benefits? No, unfortunately not. But, this is where it's a trade-off. You get the flexibility to kind of come and go as you please. But again, depending on what language you speak, we might have a VRI opening, which would actually give you those benefits and guaranteed hours. Okay. So, and Mo is interested in Burmese. We might have Burmese right now. I'm not sure. Let me get back to you on that one. Okay, so now we're going to talk about managing our time. Richard, how do you go about kind of managing your time as an OPI contractor?
Well, I'm an early bird, so I log in at 8 a.m. Eastern time. Even though I was in California, the call volume is always high in the morning. For my personal activities, such as like my doctor's appointment, etc., I always schedule at after 2 p.m. Pacific time. I'm logging all the time from 8 a.m. Eastern time till 8 p.m. Pacific time. If I'm at home, contractors always get more call after office hours, mostly from ER or delivery room. So if you are really interested to be a over the phone contractor, so you need to understand how you need to manage your time wisely, in order to get the most call volume.
That's a great tip. Thank you so much for that. And it's good that you keep yourself on a schedule, even though you're a contractor. I'm sure that helps you to stay in the routine. So, Kadar, any tips for interpreters who are looking to get more time working as a contractor?
Yeah, it's the same thing. Like I'm maybe it's not like anything negative, but this is like a contracted like a fishing. Like you have to be with the hook and wait, and then when the fish come, you have to hook it up like that. You have to wait, and then there'll be a call coming, and you will interpret, and you will get paid. So that's why you need to be with the computer. Mostly, you have to find out the time, which time will the busiest time at the time be in front of the computer, and like spend that time for that particular thing, so you'll be able to get more cost. Like during the daytime will be the high volume till maybe it depends upon the zone where you live. Like if you're in the eastern area and we get from 8:30 to 4:30 or 5 till that time there'll be a high call volume. So just open the computer, stay in front of it, and we'll get the call and interpret. So that's how we do. I did the same thing when I was in on call basis. Yeah, that's how I
Good. Yeah,
work.
this is some great intel coming in. Thank you. And again, your recruiter can kind of share with you what are the most hot times for each particular language. So speaking of recruiter, Chris, can you share the requirements for OPI contractors to join with us?
Sure. So of course, the updated resume. We're looking for at least 6 months of experience. The completion of a 40-hour medical interpreting course, along with a LPA, which stands for Language Proficiency Assessment, and then also just the ability to pass a background check and drug screen.
Yep, absolutely. Now, there are some exceptions. I know somebody asked, let me go back. Mariama asked if we hire interpreters without 40-hour training, but with experience. We do have some exceptions if it's a very rare language. If there are only 500 speakers of the language in the US, we are going to be a little bit more flexible, right? So there are some exceptions, but for the most part, we do like to see that training. And on that note, Irina is giving some great advice. She says the AALB gives you 60 hours of medical interpreter training at a very easy schedule pace. So thank you for that. And AALB is one of our Career Connections partners. So their program is fabulous. Thank you for that tip. We have so many good questions coming through. Thank you, everybody. This is great engagement. Mo is asking if we only take medical calls or are there others as well? We are mostly medical here. The large majority of will be medical, but there can be some other calls that come through. We don't do any court interpreting, so nothing like that, but definitely some business type calls. And let me see. Do you hire from outside the US? So unfortunately, at this time for OPI, no, but stay tuned. We are looking to incorporate some hiring globally very soon, okay? So, all right. Moving on, Richard, tell us what it's like working as an over-the-phone interpreter for AMN.
Well, first shout out to our the phone manager, Sandy Robello. She is awesome. Okay. I have to do that, to be honest, And I would say that AMN is always developing things in every area, from management, payroll, HR, system updates, training, etc. We always get support on time when we need it. So I love this. This is a blessing to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. And I know our managers love to hear those shout outs. We do have the best managers here. Okay. And Kadar, next question's for you. So for anyone in the audience who hasn't interpreted over the phone, what are some tips for success that you can pass on?
Yeah, that's first thing is the environment that when we are ready to interpret, we need to be in a silent room without any distraction properly. So that's why hearing is the important thing. So that's why we need to be in a separate room and then get some basics on like languages, like tips, like medical terms. Those are the main thing that we have to use most of the times in the interpretation. So we have to collect those kind of things also. So then make some notes, make some like a small dictionary for yourself. So that will be great. And mainly this, since OPI is, the sound is the important thing, so have a good communication system or be in a very silence place, so where there is no distraction. So that would be the great thing, I think, if I answer correctly.
That is great. Very good tips. And I like that you and Richard are both mentioning kind of the continuing education, right? You have to be always open to learning new terminology and, keeping good record of new things that are coming up in the medical field. So thank you for that. All right. Chris, what's a piece of advice that you would give to interpreters to kind of help them get through the door as an OPI contractor?
Yeah, I would say first thing first, and that's just apply. So going to amnhealthcare.com. Once you apply to one of those postings, a sourcer or recruiter will reach out to you, and then we can start having those conversations about what it's going to take to get you over to AMN.
Yep. Get in there and we'll take care of the rest. And we have a question from Juan asking if we have a training program. So for OPI, because it's contract work, we really can't provide training. That would be illegal for us to do that. So for VRI, however, we do have some training programs. So at AMN, we really have everything covered. It might not be at the right time that you can join the VRI team to get training. But certainly, anyone who has gone through our training for VRI is typically qualified to move into a contractor role. We have a lot of folks that go that way and then go the other way as well. All right, and now my favorite part, I think everybody's favorite part, we're going to go over some stories from the field. Richard, share with us, if you will, a time where you could tell that you really broke through a communication barrier in a session.
Yeah, when we say breakthrough a communication barrier, I would like to put this way. When we interpret one language to another, that's a breakthrough already, okay? Here is the beauty. When we bridge two different cultures with two different languages, with two different education level, social and cultural background, many areas are lost in translation. Very easy to lose in the translation if we don't bridge that gap, and that's create frustration. Let me give you a simple example. Let's say we are in a diabetes education session. The provider asks, "What did you have for breakfast?" LEP will answer, "Rice." "What is your lunch?" "Rice." "What is your dinner?" "Rice." So the provider who is not familiar with this most Asian culture, he or she already assumed that LEP eat rice only all day long. So those are unnecessary, questions that come along with the, don't you eat meat? Of course I do. Don't you eat fruits and vegetables? Of course I do, etc. In reality, rice always comes with some protein like the beef or pork or chicken, fish or curries or stir fried or grilled or something like that with rice, or steamed veggies or fried veggies, something like that. So our interpreter's job is to bridge that gap, connect the missing dots. So as a Burmese or Korean interpreter, to avoid that kind of misunderstanding, we have to tell LEP to be specific in answering what he or she eats with rice. It is not adding, okay? Don't misunderstand. It's not adding. I'm not adding anything. It is filling missing important ingredients to that. That's the real breakthrough. Not, no one get frustrated if the interpreters put a little bit of, extra, effort to bridge that cultural differences gap. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you are not a robot. And I think that's important to note, this is not AI. This is not Google Translate. Like there's more to it than just simply spitting out exactly the words that are being said to you. So yeah, that's great. Thank you. And Kedar, next question for you. I know contractors typically work with multiple agencies, right? So, what was that one moment that made you realize, like, oh, I'm with the right place when you were with AMN?
Thank you. Yeah, I work with at the same time I work with two Stratus, and there was another company too. But I used to get more call from the Stratus. The thing is that previously also I tried with the Stratus and I was almost hired, but at that time I was working with the health system here, so that's why I transferred that to one of my friends. So I told him that there's a hiring in AM like Stratus, you can apply, and he applied for it and he got a job and he worked for that. Later on, after this COVID uh, uh, pandemics, and since the hospital they ended their interpretation services and they gave in contract, and after that I was again looking for the job, and at that time again AMN as on call basis interpreter, and I applied again and then I got into on call interpretation, and since then I started working with AMN with, and then I got more hours from AMN than the other company that I was working. And soon They had an opening, and I applied with them, and then I got a job and I started working. But other company, I barely get 1 or 2 jobs, and there was no pay stubs on that. They were not giving any like work hours or anything like that. So in the meantime, I was since I have a family and I was not having much earning, so at that time I had to apply for some government assistance too. So and I asked for the check with them, like pay stub, but they were giving me a list of like this day this person received that money, this day like a what to say, like a log only they provide me. They were not able to give a check. But from the AMN, from the status, from the starting day or the first period itself, they were giving me a pay stub. So that was easy, and that was the good thing. That and I got more hours from here, so that's why I choose AMN. And later on, they hired me, and that's a good thing. I am lucky. I feel that I got a job with you. With that's and interpretation is my job of my interest too. That's so I like it.
Well, good. Great to hear.
Mhm.
All right. And Chris, of course, you've hired a ton of interpreters over the years. Tell us about a time when you really feel like you helped somebody land their dream job.
Okay, yeah. Um, I would say I connected with a Spanish interpreter over LinkedIn, I believe. And once we connected, she told me that she had just moved to a new state, and that she really, really needed the opportunity that AMN was providing. So we were able to get her through onboarding. After onboarding, she called me up and just thanked me for everything and the opportunity, and told me how much this was going to help her family. So that really touched me, and that's definitely one of the highlights of working in this department.
Yeah, that's great. That's what it's all about, you know. We truly, as recruiters, we have an opportunity to really make a difference by people with a job that can transform their family. So, yeah, thank you for that. All right, a couple more comments. Nasteha in Africa, she says AMN has been one of her, or she or he, sorry, I didn't mean to assume. AMN has been one of my dream companies to work with, and I hope you can start hiring from Africa. And I hope so too. That would make our lives just so much easier on the recruiting side. Okay. We have Vera with a question. So I'm going to let Richard handle this question. The question is, what are the most common issues or problems interpreters encounter during a call?
That is a really the most issue. So like kind of like I would like to bring back to like the cultural background, and when we are talking about, we are not interpreting for two like a world leader in United Nations Assembly or something like that, you know. So like the totally different education background, not only the language differences, you know, and the understanding of American way of how the American medical system, and there are many things that challenging that you have to understand and handle. Like uh, in for our Burmese people, like for example, you go to the hospital, they will ask you, you have to fill up some kind of like questionnaire, their name, and the problem started from the name. So they will ask you, what is your first name? What is your last name? To be honest, Burmese, we don't have first name, middle name, last name. Everything is one word. So for those who are very new to the United States and asking that kind of question, and if interpreter don't explain to them on both the party, so that is already frustrating. So we have to let the office staff or whatever know that we don't have first name and last name. They are very new. They have no idea what is first name or last name or maiden name. The best thing we can do is that, like, okay, we have to break it through. Like for example, in Burmese name, like a Tun Tun Win. So Tun make it to first name, another Tun make it to middle name, Win has to be a last name. Actually, not really first name, last name. Just make it to in order to put in the system so that we can continue doing our job easier. Something like that, you know. There are many other things though, like some like when we are talking about over the phone, you know, we are solely relying on what we heard, you know, like we are not the native speaker, like so do the provider may not be native speaker, and from other countries they have their own unique accents. Like me, I have my own Burmese unique accents, you know, like so that we have to try to understand and never hesitate to ask the question, can you repeat please? That is very important. That is very important things as an interpreter to do that, you know. So if we don't do that, we cannot guess and interpret the things that we don't really get or we don't understand, you know. So try to ask the question. If you are not sure, you know, never hesitate to do that. Don't guess. That is the most important thing. Never guess, you know.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you for that. We had a really good question come through. Is it okay for a VRI employee to work as an OPI contractor? It's a great question. The answer is no. And that's because as a VRI, you are an employee. And as an OPI, you're a contractor. So legally, it's just not something that can happen, unfortunately. But as I say, we do have folks that have, you know, kind of switched back and forth over the years. Maybe they need more flexibility and then they'll move onto the OPI team. And then maybe they're ready for that, you know, set paycheck. So they'll move back to VRI. Great question. All right. And let's see. Kadar, we're looking for some final advice. We're kind of getting close to the end here. What's your last piece of advice you would give to somebody who is new and interested in working as an OPI contractor with AMN?
Okay, thank you. Yeah, main thing is that like to be an interpreter, we need to have definitely medical terminology because the doctors and the nurses, whenever we interpret, they use the terminology, and then at that time, if we are not acquainted with those terminology, and then there'll be a problem. Like in my, I have some experiences like in my own language, like Nepali. Lot of the people in Bhutan there were English medium school, so they learn English. So most of the diseases they know by the English name. And then when I interpret, some of the time the doctors they confuse whether he's interpreting or whether he's repeating what I'm saying because the terminology. If we speak in the terminology like Nepali term, our people they don't understand. Better they understand the English terminology. So there are some differences. So when we want to be interpreters, so we need to know. I mean that that's only in our my context only. That's the thing. But to be an interpreter, we need to have the language knowledge and terminology must be known because will be in difficult. Suppose if we are not able to tell the exact terminology in the meantime because you have to save time and also we have to interpret. So that's why most important thing is that training, little bit of understanding of the terminology, and then advancing is the good thing. So basic is the terminology things.
Yes. Thank you so much for that. All right. And Chris, what's your last piece of advice you want to give to the candidates to help them get through the door?
Definitely. I would say if you do are interested in the opportunity, again, please apply. That's just the first step. Go to amnhealthcare.com, look for those interpreter postings, apply. A sourcer or a recruiter will reach out to you. And that's just the first way to start. But yeah.
Yeah, I would say too, make sure you have your language on the resume. I know that sounds silly, but we get so many resumes that come through without a language, and it's like, okay, we need to know where to start here, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, certainly get your documents in order, you know, get your trainings ready to go, get your assessment. It's a great thing for an independent contractor to just have their own, passing assessment score. So you can go to, a testing company. There's multiple language testing companies, and that really shows the employer that you're serious, that you're somebody who, has proof that you know what you're doing. So we have a couple more questions I want to get to. I'm just loving all these questions coming through. What are the hours for OPI and VRI? Is it 9 to 5 daytime or set times? I think Richard was explaining it's typically for OPI more after hours and weekends. For VRI, for us, that's going to be more of your daytime hours, but we do have some teams that are 24/7. So our ASL team, for example, the team that Sean works on is they're open 24/7 around the clock. So great question. And I did want to answer Mo. I know, Mo, you asked earlier if we have any Burmese openings. Right now, we do not for either VRI or OPI. But again, just please keep in touch. We do these shows once a month, so we're always happy to have that direct line of communication with you all. And I just want to say thank you so much. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just checking. Yep, I think we're good to go here. Thank you so much. It's been a wonderful show. Thank you so much for the crowd participation. Really been awesome. Thank you to our panelists for all the helpful insight. And finally, thank you to our interpreting team, Sean and Sasha behind the scenes. I think I failed to mention that we have a team going on doing all this ASL interpretation. So your hands must be tired, Sean. We've been talking a lot, so we'll let you take a break. See you all next month and have a great 2026.